Hi folks, thanks for joining us on this video. If you're new here, I'm Willie.
And I'm Sarah.
We're a musician and artist, and at the end of last year we moved to a nearly 200-year-old cottage on the Isle of Skye in the Scottish Highlands with our dog, Jack Spaniels.
This week, a year after we viewed our first house on Skye, we head back to Willie's hometown for a big surprise.
Then the autumn foraging continues as we drive across the Highlands searching for our favourite mushrooms,
which we bring back to Skye-Life cottage to create a warming autumnal recipe for my parents as the weather turns colder.
Join us as we continue. Living the Skye life. We're going down at 5 to see my mum. It's my mum's birthday today and she has no idea, and neither does my dad or my sister. I haven't told anyone, so we're just going to rock up and surprise them. It should be fun.
They think that my parents are coming to visit us today, which is kind of true because they are.
Yeah.
They're going to be at Skye-Life cottage in a few hours because they're up in Scotland, but we're going to come back before they leave. So we're going to see both sets of parents in the space of 3 days.
3 or 4 days, yeah.
Wait, full on family time. This is going to be really fun, but it's going to be quite full on.
I'd like to call it the in-law Geddon.
Willie approved playlist of songs is ready to go.
Oh yeah. Don't want any Coldplay, we don't want any Disney soundtracks. I mean, I can just about handle Coldplay, but Disney? Willie, Disney, do Disney.
I'm glad I've got it on the record though that he can just about handle Coldplay.
Some of the tunes, not all of them.
We've got a 5-hour road trip ahead of us and yeah, let's go.
Well, it's more than that, isn't it? Because we'll stop and get
yes.
lunch and things and walk Jack. And
5 hours on the road, but lots of stoppages.
yeah, when we go down to 5, basically we're just the chauffeurs for Jack.
He'll be very excited too.
Yeah.
It's, let's get on the road.
You gonna go see Grandma and Granddad? Yeah, she's gonna go see Grandma and Granddad.
Beautiful views from this part of the glen into the mist.
There's a castle over there. If you watched the first episode, this is where we stayed the night before we went to see Skye-Life cottage. We stayed in this village, Dorney. We've stopped for second breakfast, and Jack knows that he gets treats here and bits of sausage from my breakfast usually, so he's very excited and he's just deafened us with lots of barking. Please stop now. You're going to get treats, pups? Good boys get treats. Yes.
We've decided to rename Jack's wag from the optimist to the entitled because he knows he's going to get food. Gentle. In case anyone was wondering, when Jack is shaking, it's not because he's cold. It's like 20 degrees right now. It's just because he's excited. I'm gonna go walkies. Is this your favourite place, Jack? Oh, there's getting wet and then there's getting wet.
We have swam Jack and had a little break. Sarah's taken over behind the wheel so I can stretch my legs out, which is nice.
Yep.
And onward to Fife we go.
Go. Well, we arrived in Kirkcaldy and we are just going on the little woodland walk just close to your parents' house.
Which is right next to the motorway.
As you can probably hear, it's a little bit louder than the glen. It's pretty nice to have this on the doorstep, almost.
Yeah.
It's been a really nice day. I'm really glad we came because your mum was so happy.
My mum was ecstatic. Ecstatic. I think she's still in shock actually.
We FaceTimed her from the road just driving up because as soon as we get close to their house, Jack gets very excited. So we FaceTimed and she picked up and it was just Jack barking in the car, and then she started recognising the houses.
It was very touching. She loved
They had no idea we were coming, so it was really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. We're just out on a little walk, stretch the legs, because we've all done a lot of driving today, a lot of sitting.
Jack, even though he had a huge swim earlier for about an hour, it was fun.
Had a swim, he's been chasing balls in the garden, and we're just out. Seen lots of ponies, but different kind of ponies to the shaggy.
The wild ones at home,
semi-wild ones we get in the glen. Really nice evening, and I'm sure it'll be a nice day tomorrow as well.
Yep.
Very different kind of pony, very different kind of setting. A bit less shaggy than the ones we're used to. Hey, having their din-dins. Bunnies. You don't look like a normal wild bunny. I'm out today in one of our mushroom spots. You do get some chanterelles here, but it's a really good spot for seps, hopefully, if you get the right conditions. And we're hoping I can get a few so that we can dry them and have them to use all year round. We don't bring Jack here because it is tick central. He picks up ticks like nowhere else. And he's just staying home with his grandparents because that was part of the point of the trip, is so that they can see Jack because they really miss him. We realised it's almost exactly a year ago that Willie came to film here after we'd put an offer in on that first house in Uig on the Isle of Skye. And that was featured in the first video. And we were waiting nervously at home to find out if it would be accepted, which it of course wasn't, as you probably know. So he came here almost exactly a year ago. And at that point, we didn't know if we'd be able to move to Skye. We had only just started filming for Living the Skye Life because just randomly after we viewed that house in Uig, we decided to start filming. And that's how Skye Life was born. If you saw that video, you'll know that Willie got an amazing haul of seps or porcini mushrooms, but I have this horrible feeling that I'm not going to find any. But on the east side of Scotland at the moment, and it's a lot drier here than it is in the west. Mushrooms are quite particular. They like sunshine and warmth, but they also like rain and they also like cool night times. I might find some, I might not. It just depends on what the mushrooms feel like doing. We are honestly just blown away by how much you guys seem to enjoy our videos, and you keep coming back and watching every week and subscribing to our channel. It means so much to us. I think it just goes to show that even though we missed out on that first house in Uig, we then went on a few weeks later to find our dream house, and the cottage we moved into is absolutely perfect for us. So I'm going to butcher this accent, but there's an old Scots saying, a lot of Scottish grannies tend to say, "What's for you will no go past you." That was terrible. Basically, it means what's meant for you won't pass you by. So just goes to show, if you get disappointed or knocked back, just keep going and hopefully the right thing will come along. We'd just like to say a massive thank you to everyone that has supported us and subscribed. If you've been there since the first video or if you've just joined recently, we appreciate all the support and we can't wait to keep sharing more adventures in the years to come. Well, this is hopefully a good sign. I'm pretty sure that's a sep, but it's pretty old and big. A good way to tell if a sep mushroom is good for picking: tap the cap. If it makes like a sort of dull thudding sound and it's nice and firm, that's really good. This is soft like a sponge. Hopefully there'll be some deeper in the woods that are worth picking. Well, that's not a sep. It is a mushroom though. There's not that many mushrooms at all. I've put my buff on to try and protect my hair and my head from all of the branches that you walk into. Other than obviously looking for the seps, they've got a kind of smooth, round, quite matte cap. It looks like a really well done bread bun, which is why their name in the UK is also penny buns. But you're also looking out for fly agaric mushrooms, which are much easier to spot because they're bright red and they've got the white spots. So they're those kind of fairy tale mushrooms. If you see lots of fly agarics growing, chances are the conditions are right for seps to grow. Literally just after I filmed that bit, I saw that little spot of red. That is a fly agaric. There's not many spots left, but you can see them along the bottom. So that is a fly agaric, which is an indicator for seps. So I'll just have a little look around this area. From a distance, I really thought that was going to be one, but it's not. I have no idea what these are. They're probably not edible. But look how cool. It's a tiny little fairy circle. The mycelium, which grows under the ground, grows outwards in circles, so each year it'll get bigger and bigger and bigger. There's a lot of folklore about fairy circles or fairy rings. If you're mortal and you step into one, you might get transported to the fairy world, or you might just get frozen in time and you could never leave. Been here for about half an hour, 40 minutes or so. You can usually tell within that time if you're going to find lots of seps, and it is not looking favourable today. It's quite a mindful activity because you're literally just searching. You've got the birds in the trees and it's a really nice day, so it's a really nice activity, at least when you don't have a spaniel with you. It wouldn't be quite so relaxing if Jack was here. It would be nice to go home with a basket full of mushrooms, don't get me wrong, but it's still a really enjoyable way to spend a morning, just out here, immersed in the forest. It's really nice. Okay, so it's not a sep. But how cool is this? That's my hand for scale. It's huge. Wow. This is pretty sad. That's an ex-unicorn balloon. At least something's gone in my basket today. Not what I wanted at all. Well, I think I might have found my first sep. That's what we call an emerger, because that has literally just popped up, probably since last night. Oh. So it's about the size of my fingernail, which means that I won't be taking that. That is such a shame, because in 2 or 3 days, that'll be perfect. And that probably means there's lots of other ones just waiting to pop up. And if we were staying longer, we could have got them. I'm not gonna lie, finding that tiny, tiny sep is actually worse than not finding any. Because that means we're just too early. In the next few days, this probably will mean that there's going to be a big flush here, and we're not going to be here for it. Such is life. Finally, some rain. I don't know if these guys are enjoying it. Well, that's us back on the road again after a quick weekend visit to Fife and Willie's parents. We're just coming up quite soon to the border, to the Highlands.
Yep.
Which is the moment we always go, yay! It's always a good feeling, that transition from the lowlands to the Highlands. You know there's adventures.
Oh, I can see the sign though, the sign for the Highlands. Oh, and I can see a camper van pulling off.
3,
2, 1. Yay! We're in the Highlands! So we carried on up the 230-mile long route back to Skye. But as always during the summer and autumn, first we headed to one of our favourite wild mushroom woodland locations to hunt for Sarah's favourite mushroom, the chanterelle. But would we find any?
God, there's a huge big patch down there. There's like a sort of strip of land, and they just grow all along this bit of land. So we're walking to the furthest edge that we know that they grow, and then making our way back, so we don't have to carry them all the way there and back. But we just keep walking past patches and getting excited. We're really happy that there's lots to pick here, because we're going back to our cottage to meet my parents. They've been staying there for a couple of nights while we were in Fife. It's just the way the timings worked out, and then we're going to spend a few days with them, and I'm sure they'll enjoy some nice wild foraged mushrooms. Wow. Gorgeous, gorgeous things. So beautiful. Never seen ones like these before. Look at that texture. Rusty red against the green is gorgeous. Wow. Little patch of golden goodness. That's probably one of the nicest chanterelles I've ever found. Look at it. These are actually false gills. They're not real gills that you get on other mushrooms. They're just sort of ribs. They just look so beautiful. The dark and the light stripes. Wow. So cool. Always leave plenty behind to spread the spores and for animals and insects and potentially other foragers as well. Although we're pretty sure no one else hits this spot.
I've just climbed down the brae here and I've just found loads. And here comes Jack Spaniels to stand in them all. Jack, let's take your mum. So many. Beautiful. Let's try and get them all before Jack squishes them, eh? When Jack's with you and you have mushrooming, he stamps on all the mushrooms and it's horrible to see right in front of your eyes. It's not nice if you're collecting something and the dog's down there destroying it. Speaking of the devil, he's just come up behind me there. I've been doing damage limitation. I've got quite a lot of mushrooms, which is pretty cool. It's quite rough terrain, but also there's trees down everywhere. And the other thing is, I decided not to bring a jacket with me because it's so warm. And it is actually raining right now, but I don't mind it at all because it's cooling me down. Oh, it's warm! Particularly when you're bombing up and down hills looking for mushrooms, you know. But yeah, lots of fun. We love doing this. We love this spot. We come back here every year, and every year it's great. And it's so good to actually find quite a lot, given that Sarah was out yesterday and didn't find any. And another one of our top spots. And talking about mushrooms, I can see some. Just a few by the path here. These will be wiped out by Jack shortly if I don't pick them. So I'm going to do that now. Wow. So many there. And in comes Destroy Our Dog. Phew.
Is this the biggest hedgehog you've ever seen?
No.
Oh.
Bigger than that.
It's the biggest one I've ever seen. But will it have maggots though? You can really see the spines that hang down on this one because it's so big. That's why they get the name hedgehog. And that's why they're pretty easy to identify as well. We brush these off before we put them in our baskets because otherwise they make a bit of a mess and they look a bit like maggots, but they're not. You having fun? Narrowly missed out on Spaniel squishage by about 2 millimeters, this one. Hey pups. This one's huge. Love it. We don't have to be that picky because we're not selling them. Restaurants usually like really teeny tiny ones, whereas we can take big ones like this because they might not taste quite as nice as the smaller ones, but they still cook well. Whoa, Jack. And you can also dry them and they'll hold their shape and stuff. So definitely worth taking these. Love it when you see them just poking out from the moss. That white inside, that means they're true chanterelles, because there is a mushroom known as the false chanterelle, which is yellow inside. So if you're ever unsure, that's one of the ways to tell. It's quite funny because on our way up the A9, a very useful toilet stop if you need a pee is the House of Brewer. It's very posh. It's a big shop and food hall, posh clothing and barber wellies and lots of nice food. And they sell chanterelles there. We saw them today. And if we'd bought this amount of chanterelles from that shop, I think we would have been spending upwards of £450.
Or you can just come to the woods and just pick them up off the ground. I know what I'd rather do. But I think we've got enough now, eh?
I think so.
That's probably enough. And literally we've taken about 100 of what we saw, and we've only concentrated on one little area as well through the woods. This goes on for miles that way and miles that way, but we've decided to leave most of what is there. Apart from anything else we can carry, and also you just wouldn't want to take it.
Yeah.
It's
You don't need it.
bad form to take more than you need.
This is enough for 4 though, because we've got my parents back at the cottage.
We've got Sarah's parents staying with us this week, so we're doing a lot of cooking and we're going to dry tons of them as well. So this is great. This will top us up until next year. We didn't do too well on the seps, did we?
I didn't do
Well, I
too
found one
on
today.
seps.
Oh, actually, Jack did.
Yeah, our sep jar might be quite dry for the next year, but we've got lots of chance, so.
Just got to find some new spots in the Highlands, that's all. Right, so that was a bit of a success. Let's go back to the car and get back to Skye.
And you started bringing bits of the forest back as a little souvenir, have you, Jack?
And there's brand new beds.
Yes, comfy, cosy new bed, huh?
You join me at my desk in the Bayer Studios and I'm sitting editing the mushroom hunting section for this video. So I'm going to include this in this video after the mushroom hunting section. Now what happens now and again with iMovie, which is the software that we use, sometimes it kind of has a hiccup and goes a bit strange. I'm just going to show you what happens just now with the music. It makes it look so ominous, which is quite funny. Well, I think it is. Let's have a look. So this section here is meant to have just a guitar chord underneath it, as most of our sections do. But check this out.
Mushroom hunt.
Let's see that again, shall we?
Mushroom hunt.
And here's how it should sound. Mushroom hunt. It's amazing the difference that music makes, eh?
Some of you might be wondering what we were going to do with all of those chanterelle mushrooms that we picked. We did pick quite a lot.
We did.
We've had some fresh. We had a really nice mushroom omelette when we came home from our journey. And today we're on our second round of drying the chanterelle mushrooms, but we've got a lot left over as well. And we thought,
Mushroom soup.
mushroom soup. If you've seen our first episode, then you will have seen that Willie made sep soup last year. We've only ever made it with seps, but Willie assures me that chanterelles are also really good for making soup. My parents are out on a hill. The weather has turned from heatwave to wet and windy and autumnal, so we thought some soup would be a really nice thing to welcome them back in the house with. So let's get going.
Let's make some soup.
My mum and I spent the previous afternoon cleaning and sorting all the mushrooms so they were ready to cook.
I started by batch frying off the mushrooms in oil on the highest heat. We do them in small batches to get rid of the water content so they take on colour and flavour.
Meanwhile, I prepped the rest of the ingredients: garlic, onion, and a mixture of chicken and vegetable stock.
We ended up with just under 1.2 kilos of cooked chanterelles to make into soup, using just a few simple ingredients. First in the pot went the onion, garlic and a generous amount of dried thyme, although fresh would have been preferable.
Willie had the idea to use some of the dried chanterelles, so I blitzed them in the food processor, sieved out the coarse parts, and we mixed it with salt to make a special mushroom seasoning.
Meanwhile, I was cooking some of the small chanterelles to add to the soup as a garnish. All the batch fried chanterelles went into the pot with the garlic, onion, thyme and stock and gently simmered for about 20 minutes. Before using a stick blender to puree it into a soup.
Finally, we sieved the soup to make sure it was really smooth before serving with some warm, crusty bread.
I added a dash of double cream, some fried chanterelles and a sprinkle of chanterelle salt to garnish. And there it is, a rich warming soup to keep the autumn chills away, and it didn't cost more than £400, which is nice.
As usual, folks, thank you so much for watching our video. We really hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, please leave us a like, a comment, or subscribe to our channel if you don't already. It's free to do and it helps our channel to grow, so we really appreciate it.
If you did enjoy the video and you want to help the channel out further, you can do so over on Ko-fi. You can buy us a coffee, or you can buy Jack Spaniels, who has just run across the floor in front of my feet, a little treat.
Or if you want to help out more long term, you can become one of our amazing patrons over on Patreon, where you get lots of extra content for helping us out each month, including an exclusive Q&A about the one and only Jack Spaniels.
Yeah.
I'd just like to say a massive thank you to everyone that has put in a pre-order for one of my calendars for next year. I really appreciate it, and I will be working on all those orders very soon.
Once again, thanks for watching, and we will see you next week. Backwards Egyptian. We're leaving our suburban life,
moving over the sea to Skye. Are we chasing a dream? I guess in time we will see, when we're living the Skye life. Living the Skye life.
Quite enough of that.
So you were going to do it?
Oh, am I going to do it? Oh.
Let's get on the road. You gonna go see Grandma and Granddad? Yeah, she's gonna go see Grandma and Granddad.
Narrowly missed out on Spaniel squitted. Hey! I won't be using the audio on that one then, will I? It might be a orange birch billet, beach billet, orange bay billet, some kind of billet.
Well, Jack's tripping me up by doing a whittle in front of me.
And they do lots of tweed.
Tweed.
They do lots of tweed.
Click here to subscribe to live in the Skye life.
Click here to go back to the start of our adventures with our very first episode.